Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for May 15th, 2026. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating. Also present are Ralph Kohler, Simo Helston, and Thomas Howell. We're going to start today with issue 3580795. Inform administrators that clearing an email body on account settings will disable that email. And Ralph, do you want to take over?
Yeah, 1 second. I think I've managed reinstalling the site. That
Okay,
way it
well,
should.
while you do that, let me walk through the steps to reproduce. So I have a test site set up, and we want to go to admin config people accounts. So as usual, I have the super secret credentials, and then configuration people accounts. Um, and then what's the next step? Scroll to the email section, and there's no text to indicate what an empty body field does. Scroll to the Okay, so this is the email section near the bottom of the page, and there are a bunch of vertical tabs. I think
Yeah.
each one has a subject and a body. Are there any that have empty body by default? I don't think so. Oh, account blocked. There's first this checkbox, and then if you enable it, you get subject and body, and also account canceled. I guess by default, emails are not sent on those two, blocking or canceling. But if you do send an email, then the body is not empty. Um, and I don't know what happens if the body field is empty. Are you ready, Ralph?
Yeah. I've sent a share link to the chat, and there you can see basically the current state of changes based on the review we did last time. Admin.
Configuration, people,
Some
account
account settings.
settings, go away password manager. And I guess it's this help text?
No,
No,
go down,
where?
please.
Ah,
Um, in the initial state of the patch, basically the person working on the issue added that description underneath the block of vertical tabs. That what is called currently removing all text from the body of an email will disable that email from being sent. And our recommendation back then was basically down there, it's disconnected and it should be right in context and associated um, to the body via aria described by. And strictly speaking, our intention back then was not to keep that description underneath. Um, it's sort of redundant. But while working on the issue, it dawned on me, something else dawned on me, because could you go, I think is it go to one other of the vertical tabs that has a checkbox? As you
let's
can
see.
see here, yeah, for example, that one at the moment, and if you check that now, um, the point is you can enable basically email notification by checking the checkbox, and then you're able to disable that notification again by emptying the body field, and that way it feels odd. And I started to, when I've reviewed it and it dawned on me, I started to question, is basically that functionality of having an empty body field and then disabling the notification even necessary? Because wouldn't it be even way more clear if you add that checkbox for notify user when account is blocked to every vertical tab, and just based on per default, let's say the welcome is checked by default and a few others, and the rest is disabled. But then you could say basically don't need the description underneath the body field nor the vertical tabs block, and it feels just counter to have basically a function for enabling and on a view the checkbox, and then at the same time disabling the other way around by emptying the body field. It makes no sense at all from my perspective.
Okay, so hang on. I think we need a few clarifications. Thomas, you have your hand raised, but you're muted.
Yes. What Ralph just said was my first thought on seeing this issue for the first time today. And it basically went along the lines of if we have an established pattern where it worked for account blocked, why wouldn't we use that same pattern for all of the other emails? So that was my thinking. I don't feel as strongly that we have to get rid of the message. I would suggest that if we are getting rid of if the body is empty and not listing that anywhere, we should disable the functionality of blanking the body stops the
Exactly.
email.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would be consistent for everything would be my first rule. And then the second one is I can support what Ralph was saying. I think I, I don't like implicit things, and I think that adding more text to a page that already has a lot of text on it may be easy to miss. Um, so I like the explicit checkbox more, but that's more work to fix. So I defer, but I just wanted to show support for Ralph. Thank you.
Okay, and I want to say that Gareth has joined us, and
Right.
I'd like a clarification. Is this issue just adding the help text and documenting the behavior that's already there,
Yep.
or is it changing behavior?
No, it's documenting the behavior. That basically it's putting a label on that implicit what Thomas said, labeled as implicit behavior, and it's basically putting a label on it and making it basically explicit that way.
Okay. And Gareth, I see you unmuted yourself. Did you want to say something?
I was going to second the opinions there. We want to third the opinions now. Um, yeah, I actually would like to be able to keep the body text, but disable the functionality so that if I do want to switch it on and off at different times, then I don't have to save the body text somewhere else and paste it in later. I've never really liked this kind of functionality where you leave it blank. I think there's similar functionality in the update module. If you leave the field empty, it doesn't send an email.
In the update module.
Yeah, to side
Oh,
quest.
for notifications of
Yeah,
updates.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is that instead of documenting this odd behavior, we'd rather change the behavior and add checkboxes to each one of the vertical tabs, um, mostly um, mostly enabled. So I guess we already have that. No, I take it back. We have it on some, but not all.
Yep.
So instead of documenting confusing behavior, and which is, as Gareth says, it's sort of awkward if you want to enable and disable from time to time. Instead of documenting that behavior, just add a checkbox to the vertical tabs that don't already have it. Also, does anyone think that some site owners might prefer to send an email with an empty body? I mean, every so often in my personal email, I get something with an empty body, and the information that the sender thinks I need is already in the subject line. I'm see Thomas is reacting with a screamer or horror face emoji. Oh no!
It's a valid email, but it's kind of usually, though it's quite often at the risk of it being detected as a spam.
Uh-huh.
So it's not against the definition, but it's something that is generally a bad idea.
And it does make this particular, welcome new user created page a bit strange if the subject is required, but the body can be empty. It's kind of,
Um,
what's the point
uh,
in having a subject as required if there's no body?
Go ahead, Ralph.
yeah, that's the point I forgot to mention. That is the other change that would need to happen, aside adding the checkbox to every vertical tab and removing that implicit functionality of um, an empty body dropping, basically, or disabling the functionality. It would make sense to also not make only the subject required, but also the body. That way, you have some additional text required. Because having an empty body is strange.
It's allowed in the definition, but then again, if somebody really wants to, it's good to, like, it's not advisable. And if somebody wants to have an empty body, it's possible to just apply a little bit of code to not make that, to make that not required. So it's quite possible to do that, revert that change in a custom code. But in general, I think we should encourage or even force people to add body. If somebody wants to send emails without body, they should be uh, enough knowledgeable to kind of to do that.
Okay, let me just switch over to the first site where the patch or the merge request is not being applied. Okay, and we don't have either one of the help texts. So I was just thinking that it's sort of odd to have it in two places. Um, and I guess I don't feel strongly myself, but I think we have consensus on this issue that we should recommend, you know, uh, abandoning the current merge request, which documents it, and then just actually change the behavior. Um, if we are going to change the behavior, we have to worry about backwards compatibility. I'm not sure that's something we have to discuss here, um, but probably there'd have to be an update function. And if a site currently has an empty body field so that emails are not being sent, then the update function should disable the new checkbox rather than enable it. Um, Anything more to say on this issue?
For me. And just one question in regard of the body field. Should it be required or should it be not required? What do you all think?
That would also have backwards compatibility implications. Go ahead, Thomas.
As much as I would like to require it, I think that besides backwards compatibility, there are probably some reasonable edge cases where someone wants to delete what's there, not let it get sent out, but still have the field available. Like I like explicit. That's my preferred approach.
Gareth?
Echoing that, but also maybe perhaps the description could suggest hint that if you send it out empty, then it's likely to get tagged as spam, but not have it required. That might be a useful description on this field.
So that
If
would
the body
be
is left empty, if the body is left empty, be aware that your message may be tagged, end up in the spam folder, something like that.
And I think that would agree with Thomas's recommendation that we encourage but not
Exactly.
require
Hmm.
something in the body field.
Yeah.
Any other opinions on that question? Um, and I mentioned backwards compatibility, so I guess it would certainly be simpler if we don't make it required for backwards
Okay.
compatibility purposes.
Yeah, when the implicit functionality is getting dropped, then maybe the required wouldn't be necessary. Yeah, indeed.
But then again, if we don't require it and we change it, because I think in any case we should uh, make it so that if it's even if it's not required, it doesn't stop from sending when it's empty, because then it would disable valid emails that have subject but recipient and sender but not nobody. So such emails would be like it would kind of require things that email standard doesn't.
Yeah, that's the first thing that we had
Yeah,
consensus on, that we
yeah,
are going to recommend changing the behavior.
yeah. But then it also, yeah, but that's also a bit of a backwards compatibility thing, because then some sites might start sending subjects when they have been configured so that the uh, body is empty and they think that it won't be sent.
Right. So I think the right way to address that backwards compatibility is that if we do have a site where the body field is empty and we add the new checkbox, we set the new checkbox to unchecked so that the email won't
Mm.
be sent.
Yeah.
And that should fix that backwards compatibility concern. Go ahead, Ralph.
The only thing I just thought about that might be problematic in regards of the muscle memory or how people are used to. Um, if you make things now consistent, adding checkboxes to every vertical tab, um, and you drop basically again that description and you drop the behavior for if a body field is empty, but then there is no indication for people that are used to the old behaviors and they think basically if I leave the body empty, my mail won't get, the notification won't go out.
So how do we inform people of the change?
Yeah.
Um, we can have a change record, but probably site administrators don't look at those. Um, I don't know. Where's one that does have a checkbox? You know, if a site owner has this as empty and we automatically update it so that the checkbox is unchecked, it just seems to me pretty unlikely that they'll ever even look at it. And when they do
True.
look at it, they'll they'll now see this. This is what they'll see. And if they want to start sending emails, their first step is going to be to check that box, and then they won't have to do the second step of adding somebody to the body field, which they currently have to do.
Good point.
So I don't think that's such a big issue. Thomas?
This is an almost trivial thing or point, but one thing that occurs to me is once someone has blanked out the body for these messages, we don't have a means to get back the original text that these messages had. So I think it's out of scope, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to point that out that to me, I would find it frustrating if I had additional people who are also administrators on a site and someone came in and mucked about with my emails and deleted them all. And I came back in. And so I think that everything we are describing, like it's hard to know intent in a multi-user system. And so the addition of being explicit, the addition of the change that you've described, and then perhaps someone in the future would open up a related ticket to have a button to repopulate the body with the default text would all be great things. Thank you.
Okay.
That particular use case could be a good use of a recipe.
Good point. Recipe could easily update configuration, apply the recipe, you get whatever the recommended body text is. Yeah. Um, so, Ralph, you brought this up. Would you like to leave the comment on the issue?
Yeah, can do that. And I'll add basically also the suggestion from Thomas at the end with adding a button or a recipe for repopulating with a default text to one of the vertical tabs is definitely something for a follow-up to consider.
Okay. In fact, I wonder if the core recipe, if there is already a core recipe that does that. But anyway, that's getting out of scope.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, cool.
Okay.
So we're not yet halfway through the meeting, so I think we have time to look at another issue. Any requests? Going back to the issue for today's meeting, there were a bunch of things.
Um, we could we could talk about that media library field modal should not close after clicking the insert selected button if there is no image selected. One that is on was raised 2 weeks ago,
Okay,
and
so let's open that up.
second, I
And,
have also the prepared.
and for the sake of the recording, this is issue 3277735. Media library field modal should not close after clicking the insert selected button if there is no image selected. Um, so let's see. Let me just move my tabs around a little bit. So again, I'll go back to the Umami site with the main branch installed, and let's look at the steps to reproduce. Install Drupal, activate core modules, media and media library. So that'll already be done for Umami. Create a custom content type and add a media field with the media library widget. We can probably just use the article content type for that.
Yep.
Add a content of the custom content type and click the add media button. So I can do that. Create an article. And click add media. And just from the title of the issue, I'm guessing I know what comes next, but click on the insert selected button without uploading or selecting any element of the library. So I'm not selecting anything. I'm not uploading anything new. I'm just going to click on insert selected and it closes without doing anything. So I guess that has the same effect as the X. There isn't an explicit cancel button, I guess. Um, Oh, there is this error message. Was that there before? If I do a force reload of the page.
Oh, you are on my page,
Oh,
I
am I?
guess. Yeah,
Oops.
because
Um,
I've applied the patch and now I've reverted it back. 1 second, I quickly test.
oh, what happened to
Uh,
my site? Oh no, this is the umami.
oh, it was the umami. Okay,
Yeah, the site.
was wrong.
I'm surprised that the fav icon has changed. It's gone away? What happened to my fav icon? How can I tell that I'm on umami? Whoa. Error occurred. That's odd. What did I? There we go. I do a force reload. I get my fav icon back. I click add media. Right, and I don't have the error message. So it's kind of peculiar that I get the error message after the modal window goes away, and then when I open the modal window, I see it. There's no explicit cancel button, but there is the X. And the recommendation is that instead of closing the window, I guess we want to see the error message. So leave the window open so you can see the error message. Proposed resolution, make the insert selected of 0 items behave similar to selecting too many items. Ensure validation messages are only shown as a result of clicking insert selected. So let's see. I think this field is limited to one. We don't have the option of selecting more than one. Um, Although I think I noticed recently in one of these meetings that it is possible to insert more than one, to select more than one if you first select one and then upload a new image. You get the warning message. Oh, I only see one thing selected. And yet I have, oh no, here. So we'd like the same behavior as there, but only if someone clicks insert selected. So anyone want clarifications on this? I think I understand the issue, but I have the advantage of being the one driving the demo. Okay.
And I've
And
applied the patch to the install of mine.
okay, so that's this one. I'm going to avoid confusion, load it in the same tab where I had your previous site. Log in. And you've
The content type is playground.
okay. Add media. And if I just immediately click insert selected, I will see the error message and the modal window will not close. Huh, I'm a little surprised that the error message shows up where it does. Um, Whereas over here, if I unselect both items and click Insert Selected, like there's the error message has gone away. If I click Insert Selected without selecting anything and then reopen it, then it shows at the top of the modal window, although scrolled you can't see it. Um,
Just one brief addition.
yeah,
In Safari, um, on the site without the merge request applied in Safari, the error message is shown in the background, not in the dialog modal, but in the background. So
really.
that's another, yeah. So different behavior compared to yours. But either
Um,
way, it's wrong. So
yeah. So this looks to me like an improvement. We might tweak exactly where the error message shows up if we care. Certainly better to have it where it currently is now than to have it scrolled off the top of the screen. Any other comments? Uh, Does anyone disagree that this is an improvement?
um,
Go ahead.
could could you scroll down a bit, please, to the error message?
So on
Oh, oh yeah.
this is the Umami site where I had to reopen the modal window to see the error message, reopen the modal window and then scroll to see the error message. Right. Oh, but if I reopen it again, the error message isn't there. Search selected, reopen, and then scroll.
Uh, Two details or three details I wonder about. First, why the error message is in line with the no media available text. Um, shouldn't it basically be stacked and span across the entire dialogue like other error messages? That would be one detail. The other one is the error message itself at the moment says no item selected, but the call to action, how to solve it, is consider closing the dialogue instead. Um, that doesn't make sense. And it's also, yeah, you have no item selected. So either select one item, or in case you have two or three items allowed for a media item, then add that there, or the alternative to close it. But at the moment, in the current state, I consider the error message suboptimal and potentially misleading, because it sounds like something went wrong and I have to close the dialog modal to make it working again when I reopen it. So that is misleading, and also some sort of Drupal announce usage is also missing. So in a screen reader, there's no announcement if the error message shows up, but that is probably out of the scope for this issue and a general one. But yeah, the error message I consider problematic, as well as the styling. And also the question of the position. Shouldn't it be on top or should it be there? Not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why not keep it at the top, but actually show it? Or at the very least, let's see if I can
And
change it. Go ahead.
could you show the error message when you get two of one selected? Because that did look different. I'm trying to think what that was looking like again.
Okay, so I should be able to do that in this browser. So I'm going to select one and then uh, this is probably safe.
So is that full width because it's got more text in it, I wonder. I wonder if you edit the in the console, if you take out the maximum number, for example, does that bring the message smaller? So I'm just wondering about the CSS for this, whether that's full width regardless of the text, or whether it's like that. You know, if we added more text to that, would it wrap?
Um, so let's see. That's an easy experiment to do. If I just edit as HTML. Ah, that's not what I meant to do. I hit Shift C rather than Control C. Oh well.
So currently the uh, message block is inside media library messages div, which is the one that whose content is that no media available. So it's in that text wrapper. So that's a bit. So the HTML structure is weird.
Hang on. I don't think that's right.
Yeah, and it's
No media available doesn't have a wrapper. It's not a paragraph or anything. Um, Go ahead. It's just direct text child of the
oh
form.
yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't. It's but it's in like the form is the wrapper, so it's
Yeah.
yeah, correct. So that's in the form element that no media available.
Error should be um, above or on the same level like the form element, isn't it?
Yes. So about the form, maybe
Yeah.
not inside the form.
So let me just, for the sake of example, so the problem is that this no media available is not wrapped in anything. If we wrap it in a paragraph, then, oh no, I'm wrong. Div end div, paragraph end paragraph. So this is now, anyway. Um, so it is showing in the same location. We have the grid and table selectors, and then we have the warning message.
Banshee, could you quickly test one thing? If
Yeah,
you go to the switch to the table between table and grid, does the error message remain for both?
the error message goes away in this case, and where I've selected too many does not come back, and where I've
Okay.
selected too many with the core, if I switch to table, the message also goes away
Okay.
and does not come back.
But you have still two out of one item selected, which should cause an error.
And presumably, if I try to insert, the error message will come back.
Yeah.
And just for completeness, if I switch to table and insert, the error message comes back. So where does this extra text come from that I don't see anymore? I guess I have to click Insert selected. No media available.
That was there before you clicked select.
Yeah.
Ah, and
But
that's
if you close it and open it again, I think that no media selected is no media available.
I think that no media available is from the view. Oh, sorry,
ah.
I did that one.
Okay, so I see someone else has been working on the site and there's now something available. And and here I just get the error message. It still doesn't have full width, but at least it doesn't have that um, message about no media available. Um,
Uh, One question, if you move the element for the error in the DevTools out of the form on the same level like the form element, does it then automatically get full width? Just by drag and drop.
so I'm sorry, I was just doing an experiment where I removed some of the text, and this is no longer full width. And what was the test you wanted me to do?
On the other one, on that one, yep, move in the DevTools, move the element for the error message, drag it on the same level of the form element, so out, so that it's not a child of the form element anymore, but on the same level. What Simo suggested, yeah.
So this is this class. You say I can just click and drag?
Yeah,
Ooh. So I can drag it up or down.
yeah, it's just between the div and yeah, exactly there. Yeah, automatically full width.
If it's not inside the form.
Yeah,
Um, that seems out of scope for the current issue, although if it's convenient to fix at the same time, I wouldn't object to doing it. And would probably also solve the problem of being in line with the message when there are no items available.
exactly. But the question is that position the correct one, or should it be on the top of the dialog?
So the error message, good question. It's an error about what is selected, which is in the form. So I think it should be close to the form. And moving it directly above the form rather than the first element in the form seems like a reasonable change to get it full width and not interfere with the other message that might be there. Um, I like it better there than at the top of the modal. Other opinions? No other opinions? Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'm thinking that
Agreed.
yeah, I would put it above the grid and table because those are the ways of showing the results. So I would put them above, like between the filters and the
So put it above this view header div.
yeah.
Okay, like so. Did that work? Ooh, We'd have to change some CSS for that because now the grid and table selectors are off to the right. Uh, is there still a clear fixed class?
Hmm.
Is I don't do much with theming these days.
I think that's because it's flex, displays flex, and then
Ah,
but it's I put on the chat where we have that no items available text, so it's in the media library view for no results behavior.
I'll open that up. Meanwhile, Thomas, you wanted to say something?
You asked what people thought, and I feel the whole thing's just a little bit awkward one way or the other. So I'm amenable to what everyone else uh, is opting for. Um, but I actually liked it a little bit low, like where it was before your very last change, um, just because it's like whether or not you have the grid choice for how you're showing things, getting it as close to where everything else is was a more visually appealing to me. The higher up you go and the farther away it is, the harder it was for me to connect everything together. But I think the entire thing's a little awkward.
Yeah. So let's see. So Simo gave us this link to the view, and where's the empty no results behaviors here? And yes, that's where no media available comes from. Um,
I wonder what would happen if we could we treat that as a form, inline form error. We don't. It's not well. Inline form errors are not always supported, are there?
yeah, the inline form errors. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. It's it's a separate module which can be enabled or disabled and is currently not in the standard profile. Ralph, you've been patient.
Uh, One thing I think I agree with the point Thomas made, and by moving the error, because by moving the error message above grid and table, the expectation might be created that it's persistent across if you switch what we've tested between grid and table. And also due to the styling problems here, maybe the easier fix would be simply leave it between grid table and the form, between those the switch button for grid and table and the form, and leave it as is. And yeah, the main problem is simply that on that dialog for that add or select media, there's so many different components and concepts packed together, um, that is quite challenging to come up with a good position and an indication that that dialogue needs more work in general, but out of the scope for the issue.
Yeah, this is certainly the easiest change. And it's outside the form, but it's inside the view content. I think that's a reasonable compromise. I don't want it to get too far from the form.
Yeah.
Um, because the form is the right place to fix it.
By the way, out of scope thing, when I click insert selected, the focus goes to the filters with that error message about no item selected, and the focus goes to the filters. That's not maybe 100% correct. It's out of scope for this one.
So let's see, if you click add media and then immediately insert selected, and the filters are up here.
Yeah, the name.
Yeah, same thing happens for me.
Yeah.
Where should it go instead? Or should there be a focus at all?
Yeah, I think focus should be somewhere. So either, but I think that's the only section of the form that can't change what is selected in a
True.
way. So, but then again, there might be that we don't have any items available, so it can't go to the first item. So I'd say maybe to the add file or to the top of the form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first input element, which is what happens when you initially open the modal window, makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, we're just at the end, I guess, you
Oh,
know,
by the way, I think is it two different forms?
yeah, I think it is. The add
Yeah, so
file is a separate
that's why
form.
it defaults to that one.
We didn't have time to discuss what the error message is, and don't have time for recommendation, but some options would be to have a cancel button inside the error message. That seems kind of weird. Adding an explicit cancel button next to insert selected. I don't know why there isn't already one there. Not clear whether that's in scope, but presumably the reason someone clicked insert selected without selecting anything is that they didn't notice that there's a close button, or you can do it from the keyboard, right? You can escape. Maybe you can't escape. Or click outside the modal. That doesn't close it. Um, so probably we can avoid the problem coming up in the first place if we just add a cancel button. Um, but we are at the end of the hour, so I guess we'll have to end it there.
Like,
Any other last words?
yeah, when I think of when this would happen for me, it would probably be that I select something and accidentally double click, so unselect it again, and then click insert selected without checking. So that's something
Oops.
that would happen for me, and then it would be crazy to suggest to close the dialog. It would just
Yeah.
say select one. So in a way, but there.
And in fact, if I select and accidentally click twice and then hit enter, no, that doesn't trigger it. I'd have to tab and then enter, which I might do. Other last words?
We can quickly revisit it next week, maybe,
Yeah.
and talk about the microcopy there. And I can maybe add a brief comment already for now and mention that we will revisit the issue and discuss the message as well.
Okay. Thank you. Good.
Okay.
See you next week, I hope.
Have a nice weekend and till next week. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.